It is a good time here. We have real games to talk about. We're going to be talking about that. We're talking about FAAB. We're talking about the Yankees. We're talking about their bats. We're talking about the man, Tyler Soderstrom, all coming up next in the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Happy Sunday night, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Scott Jenstad, as always, joined on Sunday by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate or review the podcast, that would help us out a long ways. Jeff, there's a whole ton to talk about. How's everything for you?
Oh, team-wise, it's not great, but life-wise, pretty darn good. So I can't complain.
Nice.
Today.
Yeah, there you go. We only got a half week of baseball. This week is always hard in the fantasy world because you've got these like 3 or 4 days. That's all we have, and it seems like everything's so big and important. But
right.
You spent months prepping for your drafts and drafting these guys. Last thing you want to do is drop somebody after 3 or 4 days. But on the same notion, like there are important pickups that happen this week. Whenever we look back, there's always like guys that emerged the first weekend, all of a sudden had good years. So there's that. We talk about. Many years ago, Eric Heiberlig, who used to play, won the online championship. He picked up Francisco Rodriguez and Charlie Blackmon the first week of FAAB, and he won the overall, but big time based on those guys. I mean, those guys adding to his team helped out a lot. So there are important ads to make, but you got to be careful with who you drop as well. Yeah,
absolutely. But I also think, and I'm starting to really subscribe to this theory that you can't be afraid to make a mistake.
Yep.
Mistakes happen. You can sometimes correct your own mistakes too. We'll talk about this, but I feel like I need to revisit how I'm doing FAAB, especially in the main. I think we need to be more aggressive. I feel like I'm missing out on the big, I need to be more aggressive on needed free agents. Although the funny thing is sometimes the track record of the elite free agents aren't great.
It's true.
But I'll just give you the example. We're going to talk about Ben Brown later. And I think that was a really important ad and we didn't get him. And I feel bad about that one there. I wanted to get him. I think he's more than just a two-stepper this week. I think he's someone that could have some really good enduring value. And I feel like we're not being aggressive on that enough.
Yeah. I think our friend Scott Pianowski always says, if you don't look back at your drops and think you made a mistake at one point, that means you probably weren't aggressive enough.
It's like poker. If you don't get caught bluffing every once in a while, that means you're not bluffing enough.
We will get to a lot of FAAB talk here in the second half, but I want to talk about a little bit about week 1 and preview week 2 a little bit. First up, Jeff, the Yankees offense is warm right now. A lot of talk about the torpedo bats, but Aaron Judge using a regular bat, 4 home runs already. Almost had 4 home runs yesterday. Had 3 homers, then hit a ball off the wall in right field in his 4th at bat. But Yankees are locked in right now. It's one weekend. I don't know if the Brewers pitching was just really bad. It's not a good sign when Jake Bauer pitches twice in the first series of the year. That's not a great sign, and pitches better than most guys on their team. But man, the Yankees offense is rolling right now.
Sure are. I mean, Nestor Cortez. That's
three pitches, 3 home runs is wild. Like throw a ball to the third guy, right? Like there's no way I'm throwing a strike on the third pitch if I get back-to-back homers.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's possible coming back home for his first non-Yankee start had something to do with it there, but wow, that was tough. Hated to see that there.
What's your take on the bats?
My take is I didn't have enough of them.
What's your take on the actual bats?
Oh, like the torpedo bats. Yeah. I don't know enough to have a take per se or teak, but it was, it's pretty cool if it's an innovation that's working and it's legal. It's the Robert Redford Wonder Boy bat. I mean, good on them. If that's the case, but I don't know, man. It's
by all accounts, they hired someone from MIT who put the science together, and they were trying to figure it out for Volpe because they're trying to figure out his hard contact where he hits the ball. And they checked with MLB. You look at the rules, it's legal. Maybe they change rules at some point, but you gotta give them credit. It's not one of those things that is pure money either. People are like, oh, the Yankees can spend all the money. Like any team in baseball can hire a science guy to do run some tests and stuff. It's not a money thing. It's just kind of a genius thing. It's pretty wild.
It's not even like a Dodgers spending bonus thing, which is also available to the rest of the league, except maybe the Dodgers are more liquid than other teams that can pull that off with signing bonuses. But no, this is just basic R&D. This is investing in your team, investing in your franchise. This is operational costs, the dreaded operational costs that the Cubs are ranking up, to supposedly racking up to cover up that $300 million gap between revenues and payroll. That's the operational cost right there. But hey, good on the Yankees. It's also one series, but
yep. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot of these bats in like 2 or 3 weeks when every other team figures out how to get them made.
So the Todd Zola and I this morning were on the XM show, and we were looking at the league-wide numbers after 4 days, 3 days, whatever. And the home run rate is up, but runs are actually down.
Interesting.
Batting average is actually down.
It's funny. You and I were talking before we get on. Like there haven't been a ton of blowups until Bailey Ober today. Like there were. It feels like that most of the pitchers were kind of decent that we threw, and then all of a sudden that was a huge explosion. But yeah, aside from the Yankees, it hasn't been a ton of offense across the league so far.
Yeah, there hasn't. I expected a little bit more out of Tampa, but I'm reading, wind patterns matter quite a bit there. So it's not just the dimensions; it's also the, actual weather around it too that kind of dictates things a little bit there too. So, and we got to wait for the weather to warm up, etc., all that. But I would like to see more. I would like to see happy fun ball. John Legeza had a tweet about that, suggesting we might be seeing something approaching that there. I hope he's right. Because my goodness, it's hard. It's getting harder and harder to hit for average right now. So we should get more bang for our buck when they do make good contact, at least.
Speaking of struggling to hit for average, as we've jumped across the AL East over to the Red Sox, Rafael Devers, 0 for 17 with 12 strikeouts this weekend. Did not play very much in spring training. He had like I'm not ready yet. I'm still rusty. Didn't want to play in games yet. The DH versus third base thing. He's DHing. He set a record, the most first player ever to strike out 10 times his first 3 games. I think I read 2 more strikeouts today, 0 for 17. Do you wash this off as he's, didn't get a lot of time in spring and we're good? Or is there any part of you that's concerned about Devers moving forward? Well,
he was a fade for me. So, I also don't want to declare victory because it's the first weekend and he's behind everybody else. I think it's just as simple as that. And it might be that, and might also be that the shoulder is a lingering thing. I'm also the guy that overreacted to Mookie Betts, so you may don't want to ask me about early reactions, but it's just I don't want to blame it on being the DH though. I think that's facile. I think it's one of those scenarios there where it's just one series. We could be talking about Jack Leiter for the talking about maybe the Rangers starters a little bit more while we're at it. I mean, you faced Leiter and DeGrom as 2 of them. I mean, Evaldi had a ton of Ks over the whole weekend, so
I think we'll look back as this is just a brutal series for him. If that happened in the middle of the year, we'd be like, "Oh, bad series for Devers," and we would think about it for 5 seconds. So these things are always magnified early on. But 12 strikeouts is a lot for him. That's something to watch for sure. But I think that he did lower his strikeout rate today from 77% to 67%. So there's
huzzah.
Yeah.
Well, and I just think it is a case there too, where he's been such a squeaky wheel. Of course, there's going to be a lot. We're going to react to this if he gets off to and it's not just a bad start. It's such an extreme. I think that's
his strikeout rate went up 5% last year too. Something to watch as we get through. Maybe he settles into that. Maybe that's the new norm for him, is this more 25% range than the 18-9% range he was in 2022 and 2023. But definitely something to watch there. On the flip side of that, we talked about Aaron Judge with the home runs. Your old friend Eugenio Suarez starting the season right where he left off last year. 4 home runs already. He's looking like a pretty good draft bargain already.
He was. I talked to him a little bit. I didn't get him in the main. I'm annoyed, and he went 2 picks before me. And there was definitely one where we emoted when it happened.
Oh, you were going to take him at that point too.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot, and I have him in a lot of leagues. I wish I had him in my most important league. It's kind of weird, I hate that feeling, Scott, when you talk about a player, you maybe get him some early leagues, and then the most important, most expensive draft you get, and you don't back him up. Maybe you don't push him up to that previous round. I will say, being on an end makes it tougher to do that.
It does. I was in the same spot where I had some guys. You take them. You either got to take them really early, or kind of hope they get back to you. And sometimes that sometimes you got to play that game. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yep. But yeah, I love the player. I'm glad he's doing well. He's building off of what he did last year, where he was an animal over the second half.
Yeah, He was huge. I mean, ended up 3101 and hit 256. I mean, it's he's looking pretty solid now. The 4 home runs already. But it should be interesting to see what happens go there. Oh, don't worry, we're going to talk about Tyler Soderstrom, who I talked about plenty
on our
this
list.
spring. On our list, three home runs already for Soderstrom. Had 2 on opening night. It's really fun when somebody you talk up a lot does really well early. There's no victory lapses. I've seen plenty of those on Twitter about players. They're utterly ridiculous a weekend in, but hell of a start for Soderstrom, who I just think is really good.
Yeah, let's just talk about him now since he's on the list. Let's
do
it. Hang it out here. Love Tyler Soderstrom. And I liked him already, and then you talked him up early in one of our podcasts. Like, okay, if we're in alignment, it usually is pretty a good thing. So that is one where I do have a decent number of them. I need more of them, but and this is in Seattle, no less. That's the thing I'm really encouraged by.
2 off Gilbert and 1 off Brian Wu, right?
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff.
That'll work right there. It's funny because he had 3 home runs. The most impressive thing I saw today was his at bat against Wu, but before the home run, he drew a walk where he fouled off 3 pitches, then took a couple close ones. Just like a really veteran at bat for a guy. You don't expect that. He's 23. Only has about 100 odd games about Major League Baseball experience. It was one of those at bats you look at it, you're like, that's really impressive. Funny that Peter Schenke just mentioned he needs 10 games of catcher. Bangaliers did not play today. I thought maybe Soderstrom would get catching, would catch, but he did not. He played first tonight. So this is the first chance to get one today, and he didn't get there. But that would be sweet. Yeah,
I don't want it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you were saying that already.
But and just for those because we have a new listener every 37 milliseconds. The reason I don't want it is when you start focusing on the catching and adding that in, it means you might miss a game here and there and out at DH or at first base.
What if we just get 10 really quick over 2 weeks and then never plays again?
Yeah, they find out he's so bad catching there, but catcher is the one position where the defense really weighs on the offense. So just leave him alone. Let him rake.
Yeah, he's it's a really fun start and really impressive at bats. I mean, he went oppo today off Brian Wu. He's just a really impressive weekend. Like you said, a tough place to hit. Not weren't a lot of runs scored overall. The A's, they had I think it was a game where he had both of their hits against Logan Gilbert. I think he only gave 2 hits there. They were both to Soderstrom. So, what about the Pirates here? We got the interesting development here just in the first series with their stolen bases. They have 14 stolen bases as a team. I looked and it's more than double the next highest team. At least it was at 4:30 this afternoon or whatever it was. And that was over the Cubs too, who played 2 more games than they have too. 14 stolen bases. The biggest beneficiary so far has been Oneil Cruz. Most impressive thing with Oneil Cruz, 6 walks, 2 strikeouts so far to go with his 4 stolen bases. He also homered. And if Oneil Cruz can limit strikeouts and get on base via the walk, he becomes a completely different weapon for the Pirates.
Yeah, it didn't start today. He pinch hit, struck out. Also dropped a critical fly ball yesterday, and that is kind of the thing that I'm going to that is the negative. There's always the but. Yeah. And the but here was that the defense was costly. Although
luckily he's not at actual risk of losing playing time.
No, but it was weird to see him not in the lineup today. And for the great Jack Sawinski in center field.
I feel like it's always this weird Sunday where there's guys who haven't played yet and they always got to get them in somehow. But yeah, I have to.
But Oneil Cruz, really?
I know. I agree with you. Yeah.
Really? I don't know. Meanwhile, David Bednar can't get anybody out.
Yeah, he's 3 outings. I think one of the runs was unearned, but he hasn't had a scoreless outing yet.
Today was unearned.
But still has given up a run in all 3 of his outings so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Even when he got the save, he gave up a 2-run homer. Do you prefer Santana or Holderman?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Probably Holderman, I think. I kind of looked at that earlier today when I was doing FAAB in that spot. I didn't really attack the bullpen very much, but I think Holderman, I always think he's younger than he is. He's 29. He walks too many guys, but at least the strikeouts are there. It's a tough call. Probably Holderman by a little bit, but I don't have a strong feel either way.
If he becomes the guy, does he become Colin Saberman?
I would hope so. That'd be a great name.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat asked about a closer. Would they rather have Jeff Hoffman or Jose Alvarado in a points league? I don't play points league, but I would give me the guy who's closing for sure. I would take Hoffman.
Yep.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know your scoring exactly. Maybe holds are kind of. I do like Alvarado a lot. He's pitching really well, and I'm not really thinking that Jordan Romano is going to keep this job very long. So, but I would still go Hoffman.
Yeah, I saw some Alvarado bids in my leagues.
Yeah, if he was available in mine, I would have been bidding for sure. I think that's he's pitching really well. I think he's going to fall into some save ops, and if Romano blows up, he could fall into a bunch of save ops. So
yeah, and Ferguson might force his way into the role there too. We'll be talking about As Steven says, there were some
Yeah.
closer options. A lot of them very shaky, but they're there.
There were so many. We're gonna start our Fab Talk with them when we do get there. But Jeff, I want to talk about opening day. The Nationals against the Phillies. MacKenzie Gore was utterly lights out. I mean, we talk about good games, great games. This is one of those elite games. 6 innings, one hit, 13 strikeouts against the Phillies. Like a good team. It was you and Chris List used to talk about like there's like the elite outings like actually show something and matter. I don't remember the
signature
exact stats
significance.
Yes. I don't remember if it was 15 strikeouts or whatever it was, but there's like if you get the higher you get, like there's only like studs have ever had like 16 strikeouts in the game, that sort of thing. There's a couple outliers, but I mean, this is a game that like Gore, I read about it and he kind of had a new slider that he threw. And I watched a bunch of this game. His slider looked good. Everything he did looked good, man. 13 strikeouts. Does this change at all your thought about MacKenzie Gore going forward? I know it's only one game, but was it so good that you're like, maybe this guy's figured it out? Because he's been he's been a big prospect.
It does, and but it's not actionable for me is the problem. It's unless I'm in a trade league because he's rostered everywhere. I'm filled with regret and remorse and shame because I don't have him anywhere. Because I saw that whip, I saw the second half last year. And I didn't look past like some of the luck stats there and saw that he was a little unlucky. And now I feel great shame.
Yeah, I haven't been one of my 2 mains, although that main has Bailey Ober on it. So it's the ratios have been exploded even with the MacKenzie Gore start. But I was really impressed. It was one of those things like you look at the line, you're really impressed. But then I watched the game and he passed the eye test so much that I'm looking forward to his next start. I think we really got something here.
Yeah. I agree. I'd like to see more, but man, I'd like to see it on my team and remember Gore was good in the first half last year and ran out of steam. So maybe that was more the signal, not the noise.
Fair point in the chat here. The Phillies did get shut up by Mitchell Parker as well. So I call them a good team. So maybe we don't know that yet, but
no Turner, no Real Muto today.
Yeah. He faced them with the starters on Thursday, but we have to see what the Phillies can do. But the offense did not do really well in this first series.
Nope.
But you mentioned, we were talking about Rafael Devers. You mentioned Jack Leiter, another guy who had a really impressive start. Anything that Leiter did in his first outing that made you maybe change a little bit how you feel about him going forward?
Well, he's gained velocity, and I think that's the thing that's caught my eye a little bit there is the starting.
I love the one walk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. And we know that's been an issue for him in the past. Yes, absolutely. That's really a nice thing. And maybe that's something that we should have, seen a little bit more of going forward. I mean, man, he was just so wild before in the past, even at AAA. That's the thing. 35 walks and 77 innings last year. So yeah, I do love the one walk too. And he's at Great American Small Park, which is now, if you're going to go pitch in that ballpark right now, is the right time to go ahead and do it. This ballpark's not flying like it will be in the summertime.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to pitch there in April and not in July for sure.
Same thing with Wrigley in his next start after that too.
Yeah, interesting to see how the strikeouts come forward because in the minors he had a ton of punch outs, like 31% in 2023, 33% in 2024, and then his 35 innings last year. Granted, a really small sample, but 18%. So you have to see, can he get the pitch mix right? Can he figure out how to strike guys out? Can he how to finish guys off in the majors? But it was a good first start against the Red Sox. It was impressive. I was impressed with what I saw, especially like I said with the walks.
Yep. And yes, a good Jack Leiter is good for baseball, as Chad points out. Yep.
Agreed. Absolutely. I would say that a good Jack Leiter and a good Kumar Rocker would both be really good for baseball.
Good Jacob deGrom for that matter, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we figured that'll be good as long as he's healthy. He looked good today. I think he threw 73 pitches, 5 innings, 2 hits or whatever it was against the Red Sox. He looked really sharp.
Yeah, he did. Then they blew the lead for him, and that was annoying. But yes.
It was, but Rocker pitches Monday against your Reds.
Our Reds. Sorry. Right? Come on.
I think it's still all right. Yeah, I'm still on board.
Yeah, they're going to use me as the closer in the ninth, though. And that's the problem because they need to find something worse than Ian Jabot.
My Reds hat is off being cleaned somewhere in parts unknown, so I don't have it right now. But apparently it's coming back at some point. I don't know where it is, but it's coming back. But Rocker on Monday, Leiter on Wednesday. It's a fun series in the small park with those two guys going.
It sure is.
Yeah. Suddenly the Rangers pitching staff, those 5 guys, that's a fun little staff right there.
Yeah. And, and they get Seager back, Adolis Garcia homer today. That could be,
that was a bomb too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rangers are sneaky fun.
They are sneaky fun. Let's see. Let's look at a little bit at week 2. There's not a lot to preview about week 2. We only had one series, but only 2 teams with 7 games this week. A lot of teams are still doing their. Obviously only half the teams have had their home openers, so we have a lot of home openers. But our Reds and the Brewers, the only teams with 7 games. The Reds have a nice setup. They have 3 games at home and then 4 games in Milwaukee. Pretty good setup there. Milwaukee has 7 games at home this week. 3 against Kansas City, 4 against Cincinnati. So those are really good setups for both these teams.
Yeah, and the thing about Cincy is you worry a little about the weather. But as we saw in Chicago today, in St. Louis for a long, lengthy rain delay as well, that can be a potential issue there this time of year.
I saw people kind of chatting up the A's going to Coors this weekend. So the Rockies do host the A's for 3 games over the weekend. It is supposed to be 45, 41, and 52 degrees over the weekend with some snow mixed in. So I was not targeting that series because I think it's going to be an ugly offensive series with the weather.
Yep.
If they even play those games, it's very possible we get some rainouts or snowouts in there, which is not ideal for hitting for sure.
Not great, Bob. Yeah. Not great.
Nice opening series for the Rockies there. But the interesting part of this week is that we have, obviously every team played 3 or 4 games. You get your 1, 2, and 3 starters, which means all the 2-start pitchers, aside from a couple teams who like to push guys back, like Arizona had Corbin Burns start 5th. But there's a ton of 4th and 5th starters who have 2 starts this week. This is a risky week where you're going to get some upside. You mentioned Ben Brown has 2 starts this week. We mentioned Kumar Rocker, those kind of guys. There's going to be some blowups, but there's going to be some emerging guys too. There's going to be some interesting stuff. It's a weird week where all the 2-start pitchers, almost all of them, are 4th and 5th starters, which is always a little spicy.
Yeah, one of my guys, Grant Holmes, great, gets to wait and face.
Are you throwing it?
Dodgers and then home against the Marlins. So yes,
the second half really makes it. If it was something tough, I have to think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna do the same.
Yeah.
Good question in the chat. Who broke the Braves from Brian Mudrock? Ugly series for Atlanta. They got swept in 4 games by San Diego. And now they head to the Dodgers too. So this is a rough stretch where you kind of want to lick your wounds if you're the Braves coming off the 3 losses. 2 of them were 1-run games. They were close in a couple of those, but they also lost 7-4 on opening night and then 5-0 today. They go at the Dodgers for 3 games. That's a tough opening set for the Braves.
It is. And sometimes you just, if this happened, and again, this is one of those, if it happened in June, we'd be annoyed.
You'd be like, tough series for the Braves, but you just kind of
4-game sweep. But I think some of this is San Diego's really good. Some of this is also that the Braves just missed out a couple times too. They're missing Acuna. They're missing Murphy.
Missing Strider.
And the Padres are good. Pivetta is really good. Pivetta, man, I think the real takeaway is Pivetta was the man. But to get shut out by Randy Vasquez, I think that's more of the concern, I would say. But Pivetta and Petco, that is a very nice match.
But you just look at it, it's a rough series. I mean, their top 6 guys, no one's hitting over 222. It was just a rough weekend. Those are all good names. Those guys are all going to hit. I'm not going to be too worried, but you hate to start in a hole. If they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, which is very possible. Dodgers haven't lost yet. They're 5-0. You start the season 1-6. It starts to worry a little bit.
Yeah. Facing, Grant Holmes has to face the Dodgers' 4th starter in Tyler Glass now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Great. Sale versus May on Tuesday looks pretty fun.
I'm going tomorrow night for Glass Now Home, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, are you going with Jeff Biddle again, or?
No, we have a group of tickets that we buy from some season tickets. We buy like a game a month essentially. So
that's
games,
awesome.
So yeah, Christy and I are actually going tomorrow night. So we last year we had it. We never went to a game together, so we figured we'd go together this year.
Yeah, that's nice of you.
Yeah, so it's fun. But let's get a few news and notes before we jump into FAAB. But first, a note from our sponsors at Vivid Seats. Finally, baseball is back. This MLB season, knock it out of the park with Vivid Seats and score great tickets to the biggest games of the year. Every fastball, every home run, and every eye-popping play of your favorite team live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats Rewards, you earn rewards for every single purchase. Just buy 10 tickets and cash in your credit towards your free 11th ticket. Talk about an easy win. And here's a pro reward tip. When buying tickets for your whole group, split the bill and make progress towards your free 11th ticket even faster. From behind the dugout to the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all the 2025 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. So Jeff, a few notes. We do have a lot of injury annoyances already. The first one was a scary one, but it seems okay. Jose Ramirez, top 5 or 6 pick in almost every draft, had a right wrist sprain as he slid in second base trying to steal a base. He was out too, which made it even worse. But imaging was negative. It seems like we've dodged a bullet here. I'd like to see him back on the field before I say that, but it seems like to be progressing in the correct way.
Yeah. And of course, anytime it's, your first round pick goes down with anything, you're very hyper paranoid. But Ramirez, I mean, at least he's got that history of kind of bouncing back from things all the time.
Yeah. Christine, we were just talking to my wife. She asked me, "Oh, did you draft Aaron Judge?" I said, "No, but I took Jose Ramirez the pick after as he got hurt." And I was like, "Oh, it's a good time." Judge has 3 home runs up off the wall and Jose Ramirez sprained his wrist. I was like, "Yeah, it might be a bad year, but it seems like we're okay."
Yeah. I got shut out on Judge this year. I only had one top 3 pick and I took Ohtani. Poor me.
I was going to say, I really feel bad for you.
Yeah. But that's the only one. Like I have no Witt and no Judge and kind of unhappy about that.
Yeah. I had the 5th pick and I was hoping maybe someone would go Ellie 3 and either maybe go Corbin Carroll 4 because he had been getting pushed up, but Judge went 4. So it was not to be.
Judge went 4. That's like so taunting.
I know it's rough.
You got pushed up. Ellie?
Ellie went 3 in that draft. Yeah. So I was hoping that I would have taken Ellie 5 too, for sure. But it was not to be. But a rough injury one that of a guy that really got a lot of hype kind of late in draft season. A lot of talk about him. Josh Lowe, one of the IL with a grade 2 oblique sprain. It's strained. It seems like they said this is worse than the one last year, and he missed a couple months last year. Like this, none of this sounds good.
He knew it too right away.
Yeah.
I was watching that game. It was a standalone game on Friday. And that's just bad stuff there. Right away, he knew it was bad. Brutal. And didn't he have an oblique last year too?
Yeah. And he missed like 2 months for it. And he said this one's worse.
Gross.
I mean, I don't know. We don't know yet, but the quote was, "It's a little worse than happened last year. I've been through it. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise, knowing what it takes to get better and kind of what to expect from the rehab standpoint."
Yeah.
But man, he missed multiple months last year. Like, do you cut him? What do you do?
12s. I wait a week regardless, I think.
Just to get a little more
definition.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, if you're listening to this now, you have waited a week already. So
yeah.
And then you use this week to kind of get more definition. But if it's 2 months and a 12er, I'm cutting him for sure.
Yep.
15
is like right on the edge, right?
It depends. And this is, by the way, why we don't stash, because other injuries come in all the time. And
he was like a 7th, 8th rounder too. So it's not a 1st, 2nd rounder, but it's not a 15th rounder either.
Yeah. Because hoping for no whammies is just a bet against math. So
it is.
That's why you try not to, hold on to, like, I think we are going to cut Michael McGreevy this week, even though it's only a couple of weeks, but I don't know, man. I just, even that might not be a great situation either there to hold on to. That's why you don't hold on to players like that. And also it costs you the chance at free pickups. Phil Dussault got a $1 speculative pick on Luke freaking Jackson.
By the way, props to Phil Dussault. He was the only person in NPC last week to pick up Luke Jackson. He picked up 4 times. Only one across the board in NPC in any league to pick up Luke.
And $1 each time. And the thing
$1 each time. And then like an hour later, there was like, oh, there's a lot of talk that Luke Jackson's gonna be a closer. It's people talk about Phil and like his draft prep, and he's obviously really good with his spreadsheets and all that, but like there's nobody that studies the game more day to day than he does. He works at being this good.
Yeah. So the thing is, you have, to do those spec ads though, you have to cut somebody. You have to take some chances. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
You mentioned Trea Turner earlier, missed Saturday and Sunday with back spasms, likely out Monday as well. That's one definitely to watch there. It sounds.
So what do you do?
I was just looking at their schedule. So they have they play Monday. So he's not gonna play Monday. They have off Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday. I'm probably a sit for him this week.
Yeah, and at least in the NFBC, you've got you
can play the second half.
You play the second half because you're only
in a weekly league. I start him.
That's where I was kind of getting at. Yeah. And hey, if you got 7 bench spots, maybe you don't have another shortstop too. Maybe you don't have another middle. I mean, that's why some people have 5, 6 pitchers on their reserves early on in the season. This is the argument against that.
Although I would have definitely picked up a shortstop if I had Trea Turner.
Yeah,
that's
a good
for
point.
sure.
Yeah,
but I always like to have a backup, but I would have picked one up. Yeah. NFBC, I'm sitting them with the thought that it's 2 max and maybe it's only 1. But in a weekly league, I'm hoping for 5. If I get 4, I'm still pretty good with it. So I think I got to play him.
Yep.
Josh Jung, we mentioned the Rangers earlier. Offense looking pretty good, but he went in the IL with neck spasms, so he'll be out for a little bit. Max Scherzer, I think nobody can see this one coming, right? 15-day IL with thumb inflammation. I mean, it seems like his thumb's been a problem all spring. He got to pitch 51 and it started hurting always. This is a problem. I don't know how this is going to go away.
Well, isn't this a little bit of malpractice?
It feels that way. When I saw it, it was like a lat strain at first. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then all of a sudden it's a thumb inflammation. I'm like, oh, well, that's not so weird.
Yeah. And Scherzer himself has said that, the thumb is the kinetic chain thing that makes his arm hurt. And so, because he grips it differently, he adjusts. And this has been bothering him since 2023. As soon as he said that, it's like, oh, he's out for me.
Yeah. I kind of crossed him out. I thought he was going to start the year on the IL. I was kind of surprised he pitched and then he's back on it. So yeah, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, and I hate that it doesn't.
I love watching Scherzer pitch.
Of course.
Yeah. So the Reds Giants game today, where I'm watching the game, 9th inning comes around. I'm like, oh, good. We get a little Ryan Walker, easy 3-run save here. Camilo Doval comes out of the bullpen, and everybody's kind of confused. There was a couple of things on Twitter like, oh, Doval just hasn't pitched yet this year, so maybe they're using him. Turns out Ryan Walker was unavailable last 2 days. We just found out that today after the game today, but some back tightness. Not a great feeling if you took Ryan Walker, which I did as your first closer. It seems like it's minor. The hope is he pitches tomorrow, but I really like to see him out there before I breathe on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is one where you're not going to have that as an option, though. If you're setting a weekly lineup, there are no, he's a closer, so you're screwed. You kind of have to take a leap of faith unless they affirmatively say he's good to go or affirmatively say he's out. You're in that gray area. I think I'm probably starting him, and man, I hate it because, as you have alluded to many times before, back injuries kind of come and go. They don't ever really fully go away.
Yeah, I agree there. I think that I will definitely. It's one I will be listening for some pregame quotes. I think that Melvin will probably have some quotes about it. They'll ask him about it before the game. If he says, still bugging him, maybe I think about sending him. If he's like, I think we're good to go. I think you got to pitch him, especially because he's a pitcher. You can't take him out midweek. I think you got to go with it.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw the clip today. Scary one in Kansas City. Jonathan India got hit in the head by Emmanuel Clase. Was pretty pissed about it afterwards, understandably, but it looked like it hit him. Luckily, it hit him in the helmet, but he's still, one of those things. No update yet, but that's one to monitor. Always worried about concussions, and he got smoked. It was like 98, and it hit him dead on the helmet. It was a scary one.
Yep, Clase a little wild. Had some issues with that in spring, and blew the save on opening day. Got the win. But yeah, it's not great there for him, but hopefully India is okay. He's been, I think it's noteworthy. He's playing left field and not second base too. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. It is leading off though. I mean, it's a good little spot for him, but hopefully he's okay. He was walking around. He was upset, but he wasn't, on the ground, but still, you just never know with those ones.
Yep.
Someone in the chat said there was an update, does not appear to be a concussion, but awaiting imaging. So that's good news there. So hopefully it all works out well for India. I did look right before and didn't see one, but thanks for that update there. Joe Adell missed Sunday with some hip tightness. He said he's okay. So that's one to check the lineup. JT Realmuto, you mentioned him earlier. We talked about the Phillies, didn't play today with a foot contusion, but it sounds like he's going to be in lineup tomorrow. So it should be good to go there.
Yeah. I thought at first that was your basic Sunday issue there, but no, Sunday catcher day off thing, because they said they were going to rest him more too, but it turns out it was because of injury. Before we get into the FAAB, though, we want to mention the Orioles real quick. Colton Cowser injured his thumb today. Bend it backwards is what they were saying.
It was not a good quote, by the way.
No, it wasn't. Jordan Westbrook sat out, but they said he's going to come back tomorrow.
They say he's available in emergency only, which is a weird way to a weird quote about that. I thought it was just day off. I thought it was just day off, and clearly it wasn't. I don't know. It was odd.
Yeah. And then finally, Tomoyuki Sugano also had hand cramps. So also noteworthy there. Orioles sneakily have had kind of some health issues creeping up on him. Obviously, no Gunnar yet either.
Yeah, Gunnar looks good in the minors though. He had some good hits. I saw some clips of him today, so I think he's got to be pretty close. Westbrook had 2 home runs either yesterday or Friday, so he looks pretty good too. So hopefully that's nothing going on there, because he's an important one. Second, third eligible. like a fifth-ish round, sixth round pick. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
So let's jump into FAAB, talking about relievers first, because there were a lot of reliever situations that are kind of up in the air. We've kind of hit a few of them, but the first one is Luke Jackson. We mentioned we were talking about Phil Dussault, the robot, picking him up last week, but he was the big bid this week. He was 35% rostered in the main events, only 20% in the NFBC online 12-team contest there. What did you do with Luke Jackson? It very clearly, he is, the way Bochy used him this week is as a closer. He came in and in a tie game on opening day, he blew the game, gave up a 3-run homer to I forget who it was, but he gave a 3. Wilyer Abreu hit a home run off him, and then he got saved yesterday and today, Friday and today, or Friday today. Chris Martin got one on Saturday. Whoever it was, I forget all the situation, but Jackson has 2 saves already, and they're kind of using him like the guy, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So what I do is first I shake my fist in anger because I am a Chris Martin manager.
Yep.
I have him in a lot of places, and Martin is a better pitcher. Period.
You got one Martin save at least this week.
I did, but today was the frustrating day because both were available.
Yep.
And it was Martin in the 8th and it was Jackson in the 9th.
I think usage pretty clearly, and the way they did finish the end of spring training, which is where Phil kind of picked this up, and Bochy said something like, that is kind of how we use it at the end of the spring training is how I see it going forward. So
yeah, but that quote came out on Monday last week. It didn't come out on Sunday. It didn't come out before the bidding.
It certainly seems like Jackson's the guy at the moment.
Yeah,
and actually being used as a traditional closer, the guy at the moment.
Yep. And I just think he has a career history where he's not very good. And he had that 1 year, 2019, where he had 18 saves, but last year he bounced between 2 teams. He signed a very minor deal there. I don't know. I just don't think he's very good, but possession is 9/10 of the law. So I did bid on him. I got him in yogurt. I did not get him in other leagues. And of course in the main, I didn't get a chance.
Was he taken in your main?
Yeah, Phil Dussault.
Oh, yeah, that's in your league. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. The funny thing is, so Phil picked him up, and I drafted with Phil on Wednesday, and someone in round 19, the pick before Phil, took Luke Jackson. So clearly knew exactly what they were doing and had watched. I don't even know if Phil was ready to take him yet that early, but he went to the pick before him. The guy clearly was I'm getting him now. I was kind
I'm still skeptical a little bit. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm skeptical about him as the pitcher. And even today, he had a walk and a hit. It hasn't been super clean. But possession is a huge thing with closers, especially, Bruce Bochy tends to like to use one guy, historically, but the walks scare the crap out of me. I know it's really important who has the job. And if you could pick him up cheap, for sure, I'm good with that. But he went for 167 in my main event where he was available. I was not that close to that. I was in the 70s, 80s. So a decent-ish bid, but not when I thought I was going to get him, but I was at the moment right now. If I get him for 60, 70, 80, I'm kind of good with that. I wasn't going over 150, so I wasn't going to get him. But I don't know. We mentioned Texas looks like a pretty good team. If he can kind of hold the job for a bit, it's a chance for a bunch of saves. It
is, and it's a good team. And so that is part of it there. I lost out on him in the online championship, 82, and someone else had a 79. I was at 77. In course of yogurt is weird. I won 77-0. So, fun times. But I don't know which is worse, to lose them by a couple or win them completely unopposed for 77.
Losing by a couple, I think.
Yeah, I think.
But that's a good question, because there's nothing worse than winning somebody by a huge margin. And you're like, I bid way too much.
And does he stink after that? Luke Jackson went for 178 though in Scarf, the sequel.
But, yeah, he went. 178 was actually my main event price too. Who picked him up? Was it the same person?
In Scarf, it was Swerka who won. He won the Earth Leagues last year. He's a really good.
Oh
player.
Wow, nice.
Awesome player, nice guy too.
So that was a pretty clear one. I think a lot of people were talking about Luke Jackson. And who else did you like? I have a lot of names on our sheet here. We've got Jose Alvarado in Philadelphia, 15% owned in 12-team leagues, so very available there in the RotoWire Online Championship. So Jordan Romano kind of up and down, and Alvarado's looked really good. Do you have any interest here?
I want to ask you about Alvarado, okay? Because I know he's pitching well this year, but does he have the role? Am I missing something here?
He does not. He does not have the role. I think it's a bet on him pitching well and Romano not pitching well.
Okay, so yeah, and I get that. Romano had a good spring for what it's worth. And is a good pitcher when healthy. It's just when healthy, I think, does a lot of work. The other thing I worry about is just the Phillies. Rob Thompson likes to mix and match. He always has. It's a feature, not a bug. So,
and even for all the years where he's been really good, I mean, I know Alvaro always has some walk issues, but there's been 2 years he's never had more than 13 saves. So he's never like been the guy at any point. I don't really see him being the guy. I just see him being really good, and I think that he's going to be really usable. You can pick him up for cheap. I like it. I don't like Romano a lot. I don't trust Romano, so I think he could. I don't think Alvaro's going to be like the full-time guy there.
Yep. I did pick up Emilio Pagan in a league or two. I was
going to say, talk about the Reds. I mean, obviously, the Guibo was the first save, did not go well, and that was out of nowhere, by the way.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen from such a skilled manager.
I had heard the name before, but I had to actually go look. Like, he was way down like every reliever list I saw.
He was roster bait. I mean, he was literally the last pitcher on the roster. He was a non-roster invitee who was on the Reds the last 2 years, and he had some arm problems, so he missed most of last year. But he's garden variety reliever. He was non-tendered in November. Anybody in this planet could have had him.
And everybody in the Reds bullpen was available. It was opening day.
So the Giants have a bunch of right-handed hitters. So they kind of ruled out Taylor Rogers. They kind of ruled out any left-handers. They didn't want Graham Ashcraft pitching in a save situation in his first ever major league relief effort.
Okay.
Which, whatever. It's still better than Gabo. We're not waiting for Gabo. It's really frustrating to see that they just didn't want to go with him. I would go with the lefty instead, for that matter. I just don't get it. They used their best relievers in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. Which maybe they needed to do that. All 3 of them pitched well too. Pagan pitched well. Santillan pitched well. I'm so spacey. I'm even forgetting a Reds pitcher here, but
Barlow.
It was Barlow, Pagan, Santillan, I believe, in that order. Yeah. Barlow did not pitch the last 2 days, but I think a lot of, and the thing is, we're all kind of guessing. And the talk after the game is what annoyed me the most, Scott, because there was I think Francona said something like, I believed in him and it just worked out that way. And I didn't want to put Ashcraft in that situation. Hunter Green was trying to be a good teammate, but he said something that was kind of counterfactual. It was like, people don't realize how good of a pitcher he is. Like, dude, the stats are right there. Right. I mean, I know you're trying to stick up for your teammate and all, but
sure. Yeah,
it was mega frustrating. The other thing about the Reds that ticks me off is the way they lost today. I mean, the big things they lost on, but the little things are supposed to be corrected. That they too bland a lot of times last year. They made a lot of errors and things like that. Oh, well, at least we have Francona. We're going to get rid of that stuff. So fast forward to the day. The Reds have runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. They're chasing, I think, 5-3 at the time. It might have been 6-3 already, but they want to 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Ellie's on deck. First of all, they kept Sergio Espinal in righty versus righty matchup there because he was starting because there was Robbie Ray started the game. They could have brought in TJ Friedel for this at bat. They didn't. So instead, Espinal hits this weak ground ball to third base, annoying in and of itself, but there's no force. The runner on second runs right into Matt Chapman in the tag and then throws across the base for the double play. Complete unforced error. The little stuff that they're supposed to fix, the stuff that Francona is supposed to be good at.
Yep.
And I'm not blaming Francona for a base running error. I'm just annoyed that this is the stuff that, oh, thank God this isn't going to happen again. And it happened.
Yeah, hopefully that turns around. It was funny because Nick Martinez and Robbie Ray were dealing earlier. It was like perfect game through 4, and all of a sudden, it got a little squirrely there. Martinez gave up a home run to Chapman, home run to Elio Ramos, who hit the ball hard all weekend. By the way,
he looked so good.
He looked really good, and then Matt McClain hit one in the 6th. And who's your backup catcher? Wins? Is that right? What's his first?
Austin Wins.
Austin Wins. That's it. Hit a nice home run there. But
sounds like a character in Better Call Saul.
I didn't do much with Pagan. Being a extreme fly ball pitcher in that park scares the crap out of me. I had some small bids on him, but I was not chasing that one.
Yeah. By the way, Gary Espy, I want to just give a little love to this comment because I know I was watching that game too. Angels used a position player on pitch on opening day. Just an utter joke of a franchise there.
The Brewers used one twice this weekend.
Yeah. Well, but that was like after they'd given up the Rockets regular. This is opening day.
Yeah.
And yet there was a 5-run eighth that they used a kid who had never pitched in the minors. It was a great story, made the major league roster, and he gave up like 5 runs in his first outing against the White Sox. And they have you have 9 relievers you can choose from. No, we have to use a position player. Come on. Don't be that team.
I just saw that Ben Joyce got the win today. That's nice. I had Joyce and Jansen in this week in the main event because it was just a short week. That's a nice little steal right there.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, Jansen had 2 saves this weekend, so that's good. That somehow the Angels won that series. It felt like they didn't score all weekend, and they still won. They still beat the White Sox.
Poor Jose Soriano dealt and couldn't get a single run of support.
Yeah. Anybody else you liked in the closer market? Seth Halverson in Colorado. Do you like anyone in Miami? Jesus Tinoco went to the IL, so we've got more of a clear split between Fauché and Anthony Bender, maybe. The Tigers are a total mess, bro. It looked like Bo Brisky for a second, then he got smoked over the weekend. They sent Jason Foley down to the minors. I don't know what they're doing there. Maybe Vest is in the mix there. Dodgers is all over the place. Obviously, Tanner Scott has given up a couple runs. Blake Trinan looks really good. I think he has 2 saves already. One in Japan. Then no, I guess Vesey had the other save. So Trinan has 1 save, but Trinan's looked really good and seems like they're going to be mixing a matchup. But it seems like it's more Trinan getting saves than Kirby Yates.
Yeah. Or Vesey. I think it's just Dave Roberts doing Dave Roberts things.
Yeah.
But
and the ability to use 5 different guys who are all really good.
I had subsequent bids on Trinan, on Justin Slayton. Slayton got the opening day save.
Yeah. Although Chapman pitched in a tie game in the 8th, which is why.
Just in the situation they said it would be too. If Corey Seager is coming up, I'm using Chapman. Corey Seager came up in the 8th. They used Chapman as promised. So but Slayton's a very good pitcher. That's why I kind of want to have a little bit of him if he came to that.
And Liam Hendricks went in the IL, so he seems pretty far away. It's clearly Chapman and Slayton at the moment.
Yeah. So Slayton, Trinan were on my waterfall.
First waterfall use of the year. That's a big moment for you.
Yeah, I know it's huge if true. I'm never Rocky, so even though Halverson looks like he's the guy, just someone wants to beat me. If they have that one Daniel Bard year, great.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be me. Just look at Tyler Kinley's weekend if you want a reason why I never Rocky. Just avoid the paste eaters. Just
Halverson, Victor Vodnik still in the mix there, so I don't know too much there.
I want to ask you your opinion on Detroit because I can't figure them out. That's the one team I don't know the answer to, and I think the answer matters.
If I had to pick up somebody, I'd probably pick up Tyler Holton. Was probably my favorite reliever in that bullpen at the moment, but your guess is as good as mine. But I'd probably go Holton. I know he's a lefty. They do have Brant Herber, who's a lefty there too, but I think that Holton's the problem is if there's situation comes up 2 lefties in the 8th, it's going to be Holton in the 8th. But I just think he's the best pitcher of the group. I like that he walks nobody. His walk rate's been under 6% all 3 years of his career. ERA was 2.19 last year and 2.11 the year before. WHIP was under 0.9 both years. I just think Tyler Holton's really good. So if I'm going to have to bet on someone, I'm going to bet on the pitcher who I think is really good and hope it just works out.
Yeah, I am a little. I want to give Brisky a little bit of grace because it was the Dodgers, and that was just a weird ass game.
Yeah.
There were, the Dodgers arguably should have lost, and although they would have still had their at bats after, but
they just would have put up 6 or 8 runs the next inning.
Yeah, but Tanner Scott, man, he gave up some hard contact that inning. Even the outs were, that was the Tommy Edman making web gems inning there too. So it was a lot of hard hit balls. He hasn't looked good in his first couple outings.
If we were drafting today, Tanner Scott goes 5 rounds later, right?
Yeah, after going 5 rounds
earlier. Yeah, so back to normal.
Yeah, Brisky did look terrible, but I also think it was kind of one of those things that kind of just got out of hand. Keep in mind that inning started with the stupid runner on second, hat tip Joe Sheehan for the phrase. And there was a bloop down the left field line where Conforto hit it because he butchered it in the top of the inning, but then he also hit a ball that just had that weird side spin and all that. That was a ground rule double, 1 run in right away off the top on that.
Yeah, Tommy Canlay is in that bullpen now too. The ex-Yankee, he was really good the last couple years, so maybe they go with. I couldn't believe Conlay's 35 years old. In my head, I always have him as a young guy. He's 35.
Yeah, he looked good though.
I think I go Holton 1, Conlay 2 if I had to put him in order at the moment.
Yeah, I think the answer is going to change. I think it's going to be one of those. Yeah. It always could be a case where one person takes the ball and runs with it. It's just one guy, but it doesn't feel like it right now.
It doesn't. I think that someone said it's Tommy Canely. I always mess up that name, but thank you for that one. I've always screwed that one up. But let's jump into some starters. We've already talked a bunch here, but first, a note from our sponsors at Rebet. March Madness is here. 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four, by the way. If you're looking to get in the game, it's time to check out Rebet, the ultimate social sportsbook and casino platform with over 100 plus leagues on the sportsbook and the 24/7 live dealer casino games. Rebet is striving to give users an experience that haven't had elsewhere. All March long, Rebet is rolling out daily promos, making the ultimate month of exciting offers for your fans. Right now, for a limited time, Rebet is matching your first purchase up to $100 in Rebet cash when you use the promo code ROTOWIRE. Download Rebet today in the App Store or Google Play, enter code ROTOWIRE, and start playing with your promo funds. It's time to play, predict, and experience the madness only on Rebet. So, Jeff, let's jump into starters. You mentioned before Ben Brown. We have a lot of starters that are going 2 stars. Just listing a few guys see what you're interested in. Ben Brown is at Athletics. I don't even know what to call him anymore. Versus San Diego. Cade Povich in Baltimore is facing the Red Sox. Then at Kansas City, Emerson Hancock has 2 starts this week. Detroit at San Francisco. The Seattle pitcher. Chris Paddock has 2 starts. Miles Michaelis has 2 starts. Did you like any of these guys at all? Most importantly, Brown and Povich, I think, were probably the most interesting ones.
Yeah, Brown was my target. Povich was actually rostered in a lot of leagues. I actually have Povich in a couple leagues too already. But Brown was a target because he got named the 5th starter after FAAB last week. So, and Javier Assad's out with an oblique, so this is an opportunity. I really wanted Ben Brown. I understand the risks involved with him. He can be wild. He may not be stretched out. I think there is some concern about that. 2 starts this week, though, at home. Lots of strikeout potential with Ben Brown. I feel like this is a possible game-changing type of player, and I did get him in one league. I didn't get him in the main where he's available, and honestly, we weren't even that close. I think we bid like 31, and he went for like 75. I'll get the exact amount where he went for there. Yeah,
I was closer. I was in the high 30s. He went for 49 in mine, but
84 in ours. The robot got him, of course. Yeah. And then I'm tired of this. I am tired of like having this one guy. It's our clear target. And not only do we not get him, but we're not even like the second place, but we're not close to getting him. I think I need to rethink how I do FAAB. I started this at the start of the show.
Now, is that you need to be more aggressive in terms of pricing, or you need to figure out where people are bidding more? What do you think you're lacking in?
All the above. And I think I probably need to be better at identifying some of the targets too, probably, because sometimes, I just feel like there are some people that are better at FAAB than me. Maybe it's a time invested sort of thing. Maybe it's, it's like not bluffing enough in poker. It's not, it's not being aggressive enough when you have a good hand in poker, for that matter. I played some poker recently, and, there's a couple of hands I'm thinking of when I think there's a parallel to that I'm more of a, hey, let's not risk it all. Okay. Well, maybe risking is worth it more a little bit, especially the main event is already a get your guys sort of type of league. We see it at the draft table. If you just wait for bargains, you're probably not going to win. You have to identify your guys and get your guys. And I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job of doing that in FAAB.
I think it's changed a lot. I think like 8 to 10 years ago, I think putting the time in really made a huge difference. I used to spend a lot of time on FAAB. I think it's changed based on the information we have out there. I'm not even going to go to depth on who does it, but there are 2 or 3 sources out there that are really, really good at listing out who's available, who should be bid on, why you should bid on, how much they're going to go for. And I think that's made it so everybody bids better than they used to. So I think that's changed a lot. There are very good people out there. It used to be kind of the Wild West with FAAB. Like there were a couple articles here and there, but they weren't really NFBC based. They were just kind of, the numbers were kind of all over the place. I feel like the numbers have really been honed in. There are a lot of people who chat about this, all day on Sunday. I just think people are really, more aggressive. I think a lot better at identifying who to bid on and also identifying how much to bid. I think the bidding, as you look at, has kind of narrowed in price. Everyone's going to get some outliers, but I think you see every week, bids are pretty similar because I think there's a lot of people that read a lot of the same stuff.
I think you're right about that. I also think it tracks the evolution of online poker, for that matter. It's a tighter game. It's a harder game to beat. And I, as one who has not beaten it, maybe I'm not the right one to even say it, but I think it's clearly where things are tighter. And I think it starts at the draft too. I think the drafts are more efficient, for that matter too.
For sure.
So when an opportunity comes around for a difference maker like Brown, like I think he might be, you're not going to get it every week.
Nope.
And so
I think the key in that is if you actually think someone's a difference maker, that's when you have to jump and be aggressive. And if you can argue about whether he is, but if you come to the point where you're like, I think he's a difference maker, then you've got to be aggressive. And kind of, I think a key is figuring out like what the accepted or kind of projected range is for these guys, and then you jump it up a little from that from somebody who thinks it's a difference maker.
Yeah, like in the main, I invested in 2 closers, so I don't really care that I lose battles for the Luke Jacksons of the world. I don't like it when a good player gets a windfall for $1 on Luke Jackson, but when it's a fair and open bid, it was fair before, but when it's an open bid and everybody's in on it, like, okay, I got outspent on Pagan or Luke Jackson, fine, but I've still got 2 closers, one of which hasn't thrown a pitch this season, but we'll get there. That's how I invested my roster, so I don't have to chase these bidding wars on putative closers. We'll see what happens though with the rest of it. But
it's a long ways to go. There will be other pitchers suspended, but it's really good to figure out if you think you're underbidding. I do that a lot too. And I get frustrated with it. Yeah, our friend Andy Jelly mentioned that Dalton Del Don spent $550. That's Dalton. That's
how he plays.
That's how he plays. He's going to go big early, trying to hit a couple big names, and he's done very well in some years, and some years it backfires. But Dalton's a really good player, and it can work if you get the right guy.
And the benefit to it is that you get it all season long.
Right. If you hit on the right guy, you get 6 months of the right guy.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas if you pick up someone who's the right guy with 6 weeks left, you're only getting so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other starters you like? What about
Matt Povich?
Oh, yeah, go Povich. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've had requests that they wanted this to be a Povich cast. So let's talk about him here.
I like Povich. I like what he showed last year. He had almost a 20% K- walk in AAA. So that he looked really good there. The strikeouts did not translate to the majors last year, but I think that we see that a lot. The first time through, strikeouts will translate. You look at 2023, 31% strikeout rate, 2024, 28% strikeout rate. It's just shown the ability to miss bats in the minors. So I do really like that a lot. He had a home run issue last year and, in Baltimore, and the wall moved in. So maybe that's an issue again, but I like what I saw last year from Povich. A little bit unlucky with strand rate. I think that he's going to be solid with a chance of being better than solid.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that I like how he finished the season. He got knocked around really hard early. Like it was 658 over his first 11 starts, and then came back and he was a different pitcher. You see this in minor league prospects all the time, pitchers and hitters both. I think he's definitely someone that shows that he had the pedigree going in. He's on a good team. Rough matchup. He gets the Red Sox in his first start. It's the Orioles home opener. Yep. Then at the Royals, that's not so bad. I don't mind that one. And then a home start against the Blue Jays after that. Last year, that was a good start. We'll see about whether that is this year or not. But this is for a fifth starter, that's a pretty decent setup. It's not the ultimate. It's not like White Sox Marlins or something like that. But at the same time, this is it's reasonable for sure.
And he won that job in spring too. He pitched well in spring. He beat out, I think it was Albert Suarez for that job after Grayson got hurt. So
Suarez got hurt.
Yeah, Suarez got hurt as well. But I think Povich had won it by the time Suarez got hurt. I think he earned it. He pitched really well in spring training. I'm excited what we see from Povich. I liked him coming into last year when he was a free agent. Didn't work out very well, but I'm interested. The ERAs have not tracked over the minors, so I don't know. There's been a lot of his numbers look good. And you see every time you look at the ratios, they don't look good. So it'd be interesting if he can kind of figure out and translate the swing and miss into some ratio help too.
Yep. Let's talk about Dalton Del Don's guy. You spent $300 on him, $300+ on him, and that's Landen Roupp of the Giants. Yep. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Beat out Hayden Birdsong for the fifth starter job.
Yep.
And Birdsong was dealing, but so was Roupp. And Roupp was usually facing the better hitters too, for what it's worth. Roupp only gets one start this week at Houston, then a home start against Cincy the following week. I think he misses out on facing the Yankees, which is pretty convenient. The only problem is it's a while before you get your first two-stepper with Roupp. But great ballpark, good pitcher, potential to maybe go long-term. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was definitely. I wanted to draft him. I had him starred for when I obviously drafted late in the season. So Dalton probably drafted a little bit earlier where he didn't get taken. But everybody loved Birdsong, and he was getting drafted pretty high. He beat out Kyle Harrison, who was in their rotation a bunch of the year last year too. I like him. I mean, he looked right in spring training. The Giants do really well with pitchers. Great park to pitch in. Definitely someone that if he was available in my leagues, he was not. I would have been quite aggressive. I don't know if I would have gone 330, but I would have been quite aggressive.
Yeah, I agree. I drafted Birdsong in the 20th and was going to come back with Roupp at the 21-22 turn and didn't get to me.
Good note from Anthony Gialdi, our friend, good human as well. There are day games tomorrow. There's 3 games at 11-ish, 11 or 11:30. Then there's a game at 12. So there's 4 day games tomorrow. As teams have their own home openers. Royals, Brewers, Twins, White Sox, Red Sox, Orioles, and Rockies, Phillies are all day games tomorrow.
Yeah. So hey, this is
April, your lineups early.
March even. It's still March even all day.
At least it's only 11 o'clock Pacific. At least it's not too early Pacific time.
Yeah, it's not. It's at least it's not the Patriot game. But all that. One good thing, Scott, is my
worst game of the year right there.
Yeah, absolutely. One good thing is this year my radio show is an hour earlier at 8 o'clock in the morning West Coast time.
Nice.
So that'll help me be on top of setting the lineups for that day.
That is good. That helps the cause. It's hard to do this as you do something like this as you set lineups. It's just it's hard to do that.
Yep.
I kind of liked in St. Louis the guy that won the 5th job there, Matthew Liberatore, pitching against the Angels this week, which looks pretty good. I just like the improvements that he made. In 2023, the strikeouts were low, the walks a little bit high. His swing strike went up like 4% from 2023 to 2024. He showed some gains. I know the ratios were still 4.4, 1.27, but I think that I like the step up. I like how he looked in spring. He was someone that I was interested in as a kind of see how the start goes this week against the Angels and then figure out from there.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I wasn't on him. I feel like but I did know he won the job. He beat out McGreevy, beat out Matthews. Yeah. I was wondering if this was a service time thing or if he actually did win it. Looks like it's more the latter.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't great in the spring, but good enough. But I think it's an interesting arm that I like the matchup this week, and it's only one start, but I like the matchup against the Angels. So I'm going to kind of go with that for a week and then see where we land.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other starters you want to talk about? I know Griffin Canning looked good. He was available in a lot of 12-teamers. That was one that if he was available, I would have been aggressive at that one. I thought he looked really good in his first start. Obviously, someone we liked in Anaheim before, but, guys never really work at Anaheim. Moving to the Mets is a nice change there. Any other starters you like before we talk about a few hitters before we get out of here?
I did like Canning. I'm trying to think. We picked up Randy Vasquez, who did a good job against the Braves. Not a huge strikeout guy, but we did pick him up.
Pitches for a really good team, too. Never a bad thing.
Yep.
What about hitters? I thought pitching was way more interesting this week. I needed some hitters, and I found it tough going. 12-teamers, there were some interesting names. Spencer Torkelson was available about a third of 12-teamers. Obviously he looks great spring and the great first weekend. He's hitting the middle of the lineup. Kyle Manzardo mashing. He was only about 35% rostered in 12-teamers, so he was really available there. He is UT only, but has not played at first base yet. There was some talk online today. There was a little back and forth with some people that when he's gonna get eligibility, and he shouldn't have drafted him, not knowing he's gonna get eligibility, but he has not played at first base yet. What did you do with hitting? I thought that most of the interesting names were available in 12s. I liked Otto Lopez in 12s. Yep. Ryan Hayes available in a lot of 12s, but it seemed like 15 teams were really hard to find some offense off the bat here.
I agree. I mean, I think Leody Taveras was interesting, especially that he they sent down Evan Carter, so I think that made it interesting. I did pick up Torque, 55-53 in the online championship.
Efficient bidding is always a fun time.
Yes. Now we have to wait and see if okay, you won. Now what? I was happy with that. In one league, ugly pickup with Jonah Bride. Just because I had a weaker corner infielder. I think I have a couple of injuries there. There weren't a ton of targets. You're right. Tell me more about Max Muncy, the A.
Man, he hit a ball like 440 his first home run. It was mashed. He's. I think it's interesting. He's probably got a little bit of runway here. Well, probably got 6 weeks till Geloff comes back. We're going to see what they got. He was a little bit of speed, a little bit of power in the minors. He was 10-13 in 2023 in the minors. He was 10-5 last year, hit 292. He strikes out a lot, though. I think the strikeout's going to be a big problem. He struck out 27% of the time last year in the minors. I think that number's going to be really high in the majors. I was mildly interested, but I think the strikeouts and as a result, the batting average is going to be really rough. At least his first go through the minors. I think there's the upside, long term is pretty good. He's 22. But in a short runway, I think that by the time Geloff's back, I think Muncy's batting average could be pretty rough.
Yeah, and that was my conclusion. I didn't get in on him at all. So Well, we'll see about that. But I wasn't there. We were discussing, Tim and I were vigorously discussing the merits of one Cabrian Hayes, who is running, had a decent weekend, but I still don't believe he can hit.
My biggest issue with Hayes is the back injury. I just don't know if he can stay healthy, but I was interested. I had a bid on him. I actually got outbid on him in my 12 teamer, but I don't know if he runs though. Like if you get 15 stolen bases from a third baseman, that's really valuable right there. It allows you to kind of do some stuff at middle if you want someone to hit some home runs. But you're right. I mean, he had 4 home runs last year. I don't know if the power is coming. He had a 2.5% barrel rate last year. I don't know if some of that was the back. I was in on him though, just because I mean the Pirates have a team wide green light right now.
Yeah, they do. That is interesting. I wonder if that's a little bit of a Marlins thing, picking on their catchers.
Could be. Yeah, you want to see it more from one series, but 14 steals in the series is pretty significant.
Yeah, it is. The other guy I want to bring up is Kameron Misner with the Rays. Hit the game-winning homer on opening day. Josh Lowe, we talked about it earlier. He's out for sounds like months. We'll see how long exactly it is. The Rays face 6 right-handers this week too, so Misner should play. In an AL only, he was the subject of a little bit more of aggressive bidding war in AL tout wars. I wonder what you think about him. Is he possibly a mixed league play too?
I think so. I think it's another guy, like we talked about Muncy. The strikeouts are going to be huge. I think it's going to affect the batting average, but he's a speed and power guy. He had 17 home runs and 30 stolen bases last year in the minors in 113 games. He was 21-21 in 2023. Like, I think he's kind of one of those guys that is a kind of a fantasy guy. I think that he's going to hit for some power. He's going to run. The strikeouts are going to be huge. I mean, he's 36% in the minors in 2023. Like, he's going to strike out so much. The batting average is not going to be good, but you give me some speed and power. I think he's interesting, especially in a 15 teamer. I think he's very biddable there.
Yeah, I think so too.
So the only thing about the Rays you mentioned there with the walk-off home run, like 3 times this weekend, I flipped on a Rays game and I thought it was a spring training highlight. It's that stadium. Watching the game in that stadium is so weird.
It's like smaller than I thought. It's like 11,000, 12,000.
Every time I look, I'm like, oh, that's a highlight from earlier in March, or that's a college. I guess someone hit in the college, and I realized it was a Rays Rockies game. I could not get there all weekend.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. The other thing too is it didn't play like, we're thinking, okay, well, this is going to be a good hitting environment for left-handers. The scores in these games were 3-2, 2-1, and 6-4.
Some of that pace eaters though too.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Although it was Rockies pitching too, though, so the Rays should have scored some runs, right?
Yeah. The moment you doubt Antonio Senza Telescott, that'll be your undoing there.
Every time he pitches, I can't believe he still pitches for the Rockies.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm looking. I keep waiting for Antonio Alfonseca in his 6 fingers, but
hey, Yandy Diaz finally got a hit today. He got off the Devers train. That was nice.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Huzzah!
I think he's 2 for 14 now, which is a great feeling.
The Rays did some weird stuff today too. They sat Morel, who was coming off of like a four on base game.
I looked at that lineup and I was like, "What? Who am I looking at? What team is that?" It was one of those weird lineups where it looked like a spring training lineup.
Yeah, they sat a couple of people that I was like, "Why? Why are you doing that?" Some of that was the Lowe effect there. That's one player there, but
yeah, I saw that Mangum was hitting second. I had to go figure out who Jake Mangum was real quick, but so I could put him in my FAAB list.
They sat Caminero today too, though.
Caminero, that's right. He pinch hit later and got a hit, but in that Rays game, Jeff, Taj Bradley looked really, really good. I was fired up about that. That's one of my dudes right there. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. I love the Rays got 4 runs for him in the bottom of the 6th, I think, after he just given up the lead.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
I was bummed because he finished the 6th. You're like, give me that last out. So you actually had a chance there, but they scored 4 runs, and the Rays gave up 2 in the 7th. I was a little worried, but Bradley looked really good. I was fired up about that.
Yeah. Fairbanks got a little bit of a bumpy save. He's been kind of a fade for me this year.
That last pitch, though, the strikeout up to Moniak was sweet.
That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It was also peak Mickey Moniak too. Homered earlier in the day, but
and then gets punched out. That's very the Mickey Moniak experience all in one sentence.
Yes.
What do you feel about Ryan Bliss in Seattle? I watched a bunch of that because they were playing the A's, and I just kind of, my wife kind of flips them on usually, but he had two stolen bases this weekend. I don't know if he can hit enough to really stick, but he hit 270 in AAA last year, but 50 stolen bases last year in AAA in 93 games. This is a guy that if he gets on base, will steal bases.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't do it, Jeff. I didn't know much about Ryan Bliss. Ignorance was bliss. Okay, I said it. Done. Okay, fine. All right, I had to do it there.
I promise I didn't bring him up just for that.
I know you didn't. I mean, the speed potential is interesting for me.
And it's significant speed potential too.
Yeah, I do question whether he can hit.
Yeah, I do too. Had a lot of strikeouts last year in his small major league sample, but has a decent strikeout rate in the minors, so maybe he can drop that down. But I don't know, the speed's there, and like the positions of his right now, like there's not a lot of anybody blocking him to get a ton of at bats, which is huge.
Right.
Whoever asked about my hat in the chat, it is a Spyglass Hill golf course hat. It's a golf course in Monterey. So it's to answer that question. Any other hitters, Jeff? It felt like there was a lot of like old veteran hitters: Wilmer Flores, Gavin Sheets, Miguel Andujar. Anybody that you really liked in the Ray? Any other hitters, like kind of some boring old guys at all?
No, not really. Most of my leagues are sufficiently deep that I'm not enthused. Now, one of these guys is going to lotto. That's the thing. Like
I kind of like Andujar because I think he's going to play a lot, and I think he's going to have a good batting average and not a ton of pop. But I think that if that Sacramento field plays a little hitterish, I think Andujar could actually be mildly interesting. He played when he was healthy last year. The A's played him almost every day.
Yeah, I got one more guy I want to ask you.
Yeah, go for it.
I saw him both picked up and dropped in my FAAB run this week.
Always fun.
Heston Kjerstad.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with him because I think his underlying skills are good, but the role's just not there right now.
It is not. And I think the role's not there enough that I stayed away. When I was like first doing my draft prep, I bolded him on my sheet. I'm like, I really like the skills here. I like that. He strikeouts too much, but showed a lot of power. I think we're gonna get something good. And I don't think the playing time's there, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna be there. I was off him.
Yeah. Casey.
Unless Colton Cowser's hurt, and then maybe he falls into playing time.
And Casey Chaw picked up Heston Kjerstad in my
probably because Cowser got hurt. I mean, they did say thumb bent all the way back. It did not sound great.
Yeah, it did not. It did not at all. But that is one where I'm wondering whether I hope I'm not missing the boat on that. Another chance there. I think Kjerstad can play. I do think he can play.
I think he can hit. It's good at playing time. But like I said, Cowser missed a bunch of time. Could be a spot for him.
Yep.
Last guy I want to ask you about in Detroit, Dillon Dingler. If you're looking for a second catcher, I'm kind of flipping through looking catchers. I was intrigued by what I saw last year. He was in AAA, hit 308, 17 home runs, 5 steals with a 20% strikeout rate and a 46% hard hit rate. Like, I don't know a lot about the guy. I just looked at stats, and he obviously had a triple and a home run over the weekend. But I was interested. I think he was really good in the minors last year, and if he could he could like kind of wrangle some playing time away from Jake Rogers. I think Dingler as a second catcher might be fairly playable here as we move forward.
I think you're right, and then you can say that Dingler ate my baby. But anyways,
I've been setting you up the last 5 minutes.
I know that was just again. You throw me a 3-0 meatball, I'm going to swing.
Yeah, good. You should swing. Not enough people swing 3-0.
Yes.
So I picked up Dingler in the league. My Jacob Stallings play looked really bad. He didn't play the first 2 days. The kid is clear that Hunter Goodman's going to play a bunch. I dropped Stallings
DH today.
Yeah. I dropped Stallings for Dingler, and I think that I'm gonna go with that for a bit. We'll see what happens.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So someone dropped. I think someone dropped Sean Murphy in that league. So maybe I'll try and stash. But it's like you said before, it's so hard to do that. I already have Connor Norby. What would you do with Connor Norby, by the way, before we get out of here? I held him this week, but it was right on the edge for me. It's like probably a month, and he was like a 17th, 18th round pick, someone I like, but not someone heavily invested in. I think I'm going to hold for a week on Norby, but he's someone that, like, if I need a spot at all, I'm probably going to have to drop him.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think it's also like, okay, I have Francisco Alvarez. That's my stash. I can have no more stashes. Yeah. And that's a more critical position, but we'll see. Otherwise, I think it all depends on which position you're talking about here. So, and what the player himself. I think Norby, what was he, like a 21st, 22nd round pick?
Yeah, I think I took 18th, 19th.
18. Like that, okay.
It was like, I would say it was right. It was right at it was like 22nd. I would have dropped him, but I didn't have anybody that I needed to get. He would have been a spot if I had to drop him. I would have done it. So
yeah, I'm holding on to a Hidden Bird song. So what do I know? I
mean, that's the thing. You wait if you need the spot at some point, you have to drop him. But
so I'm playing with a 5-man bench essentially because I can't use Bird song, but I can't
see how Jordan Hicks pitches this week, that sort of thing, and then adjust there.
Yeah.
Last question in the chat. Torkelson and Manzardo available in a categories league. Should I drop Conforto for one of them? My answer would be yes, and my answer would be for Manzardo.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
I'd probably do it for both of them, but I would take Manzardo over Torkelson right now. I do like both, but I'd probably go Manzardo.
All right. Yeah, I like that one too. I don't think you're going to get first base eligibility though.
I don't either. It depends. Yeah, it depends on that too. But I think if you can do it, you can use the UT only. In a vacuum, I'd have Manzardo the most.
Okay.
Jeff, last question for you. Who has the worst offense? Miami, the White Sox, or Colorado? Good Lord. Miami, right?
Miami, but I think the White Sox are not going to go down without a fight. I mean, they're the defending champ when it comes to the worst offensive battle.
God, that Miami offense is bad, though, as you scroll through the lineup. I love Otto Lopez, and that's really bad. I guess Xavier Edwards is interesting, but like Kyle Stowers is hitting it pretty well, but they're all pretty bad, though.
Yep. Somehow De Los Santos couldn't make that team.
I know. So,
and that was preordained, too. That's the weird thing.
Well, Jeff, it's good to have games back. It's a lot of fun when we have games and FAAB to talk about. This time of year is really fun. Anything else on your mind that you wanted to chat? We're still here.
No, I think we're good. I think we covered enough. But hey, we're going to be doing this every Sunday, except you'll have a superior improved guest with you next week because I'm going to be traveling. So
that's right. Yep. That's a good reminder that you defined us as such a superior guest. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do so.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. There was a ton of chatter in the chat room. We really appreciate that. It was late today, too, so we really appreciate people hanging in. That it's always fun. There's a lot going on, and people seem really fired up for baseball right now. So hopefully by the end of this week, everybody will have torpedo bats, and we'll have a lot of offense going on. So it should be fun. So hope everybody has a really good week, a really good fantasy week. Take care, and we'll chat with you soon. We'll see you next week. I will, and then Jeff will be back in 2 weeks. Hope everybody has a good week, and take care.